really ran these Viking households while the men were away trading or raiding? The answer reveals one of the most surprising aspects of Viking society. Women held positions of power and responsibility that were unusual for their time. While men might have dominated the public sphere, women controlled the domestic realm and possessed rights few other European women would enjoy for centuries to come. Viking women, power beyond their time. Did Viking women have more freedom and authority than most women would gain until centuries later? While medieval European women were largely confined to lives dictated by male guardians, Viking women enjoyed remarkable independence and power. This wasn't an accident or anomaly. It was woven into the fabric of Norse society, where women's roles were both respected and essential. When we look at most of medieval Europe, women had few rights of their own. They typically couldn't own property independently, had little say in who they married, and remained legally subordinate to male relatives throughout their lives. Their value was often tied primarily to childbearing and domestic work. Yet across the North Sea, a dramatically different picture emerges from archaeological and written evidence about Viking women. One of the most significant rights Viking women held was property ownership. Norse law allowed women to inherit property from their parents or deceased husbands. They could own land, farms, and goods in their own names. This economic independence gave Viking women a foundation for autonomy that most European women wouldn't achieve until the 19th or even 20th century. Runic inscriptions and legal documents confirm that women regularly controlled substantial resources independently. Viking women could also request divorce, a right almost unheard of elsewhere in medieval Europe. The Icelandic sagas and law codes describe several acceptable grounds for divorce, including physical abuse, failure to provide support, and even more surprising reasons like a husband wearing an unmanly shirt or failing to visit the marital bed regularly. The divorced woman typically took her original dowry and a portion of the shared property with her, maintaining her economic independence after the marriage ended. Archaeological evidence provides powerful support for women's status in Viking society. Female graves contain far more than domestic items like cooking tools or weaving equipment. Many women were buried with elaborate jewelry, valuable trade goods, and symbols of authority and status. The astonishing Oseberg ship burial in Norway, one of the richest Viking graves ever discovered, contained 2 women buried with incredible wealth and ceremonial items suggesting high status. The older woman may have been a religious or political leader, showing women could hold positions of true authority. One of the most fascinating aspects of Viking women's power centers around what Norse society called the keys of the household. When a woman married, she was ceremonially given keys to the family's storage chests, food supplies, and valuables. These keys weren't just practical tools, they symbolized her authority over the household economy and resources. Many female graves contain these key sets, often displayed prominently on the woman's clothing, showing how important this role was to female identity. The woman wearing the keys made crucial decisions about food storage, textile production, and resource management that determined whether the family thrived or starved during harsh northern winters. Daily household management required significant skills. Viking women supervised food, preservation, coordinated textile production, managed supplies, and oversaw dairy processing. These weren't simple domestic tasks, but complex economic activities that required knowledge of food chemistry, weather patterns, resource allocation, and personnel management. The woman of the house often supervised servants, slaves, and younger family members in these essential tasks. The textile production overseen by Viking women wasn't just about making clothes. Archaeological finds of weaving tools in nearly every female grave show how central this work was to women's identity. The textiles women produced represented valuable trade goods and essential items for sailing ships. A single Viking sail required wool from hundreds of sheep and thousands of hours of processing and weaving. The women who created these textiles were skilled artisans whose work made Viking voyages possible. When men left on long trading or raiding expeditions, women's authority expanded even further. They ran farms, managed businesses, and made all necessary decisions in their husband's absence. In coastal areas where men might be gone for months or years, women effectively ran entire communities. This regular experience of independent authority created a culture where female leadership was normalized rather than exceptional. Evidence suggests some Viking women even participated in activities we typically associate exclusively with men. Recent scientific analysis of a high-status warrior burial from Birka, Sweden, revealed the skeleton was female, despite being buried with a full set of weapons and war horses. While this discovery remains controversial among some historians, it suggests at least some women may have taken on warrior roles. Other evidence points to women participating in trade expeditions and potentially even in overseas settlement. The famous Viking settlement of Iceland provides particularly strong evidence of women's status. The Icelandic sagas describe numerous powerful women who influenced politics, managed large estates, and even led settlement expeditions. Women like Aud the Deep-Minded, who led her own fleet of ships to Iceland after her husband's death, demonstrate how women could exercise remarkable independence. Iceland's isolation and harsh conditions may have further reinforced women's authority, as survival required full utilization of everyone's skills regardless of gender. Religious life offered another avenue for female power. Many women served as vulvas, seers, or priestesses who conducted rituals and made prophecies. Archaeological finds include elaborate staffs and unusual grave goods associated with these religious practitioners. The vulva held significant cultural authority, with even kings seeking their advice. This religious role gave certain women influence that extended far beyond the domestic sphere. The reasons for Viking women's unusual status likely stem from practical northern realities. In the challenging Scandinavian environment, communities needed everyone's skills and contributions to survive. The frequent absence of men on voyages meant women had to be capable of handling all aspects of farm and community management. This practical necessity evolved into cultural values and legal rights that formalized women's authority. How did Viking women have more rights than women in other medieval societies? Viking women could own property, manage households, conduct business, and even divorce their husbands. Rights most European women wouldn't gain until modern times. Their economic independence, legal standing, and cultural authority created opportunities unusual for the medieval period. These weren't token rights, but substantial powers that shaped both individual lives and Norse society as a whole. This aspect of Viking culture forces us to reconsider the simple brute raider stereotype. A society that granted women significant rights and authority displayed sophistication in social organization that contradicts the primitive barbarian image. Understanding Viking women's roles gives us a more complete picture of this complex society, one where gender roles, while still distinct, allowed more flexibility and respected women's contributions in ways that were centuries ahead of their contemporaries.